I invite the Minister of Labour to lead the House in prayer or reflection.
This is the peace prayer of St. Francis, and I found this in my mother's wallet when I was cleaning it out after she died 3 years ago. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
Thank you, Minister, and happy birthday. Introductions by members. Mr. Premier.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise to introduce a member of the press gallery who is here today. This is Richard Zussman's last day, and he has been a fixture of this place for a significant amount of time now. I would like to reflect on his strengths, and one of them, I'd like to focus on those. One of them, without doubt, is his commitment to the job and his integrity. And I think a lot of members might question that, having seen his observance of the one question, one follow-up rule. But he is a person of principle and integrity. He, to the point that he once scaled a stairway in the legislature to avoid a protest in order to bring bagels to his colleagues in the press gallery, but also because he firmly believes that journalists rightly should have access to the legislature. He put his job on the line to publish a book about politics and was rightly rewarded with a cushy job at Global for his strong and principled stand. He has a nickname for me, which is the Big Cactus, and I want to assure the Leader of the Opposition it's not because I am a prick. It is if you hear it in my defense, it's a commentary on my Zoom decor during the pandemic. I would just like to say he is an incredibly good guy. He is a proud father, fiercely defensive of his kids and his family. He puts a smile on the face of everybody in the legislature when he passes by. We're going to miss him very dearly. I wish him the best of luck with his professional curling career. I think it's ambitious, but he's never been short of ambition, Honourable Speaker. Thank you, Richard Zussman, for your work in this legislature.
Member for Kamloops Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to assure the Premier that the funny thing about nicknames is that it's left for everyone to interpret them how they would like. So I'll leave it there. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the BC Conservatives as well, we'd like to wish Richard a fond farewell, a good luck on his next journey in life and where that takes him. He, as the Premier has said, has always shown very high journalistic standards. Again, as we all read through the infamous book of him and Rob Shaw, probably a little more. I was new. I was just here in 2017, so I wasn't too worried about what I might be or not said in that book, but certainly there was lots of other politicians out there that were reading with great interest on how their time in this place was going to be played out within the pages of that book. And I think it speaks volumes that everyone in this chamber still continued over the years to continue to work closely with Richard in terms of getting out on behalf of the public both sides of the story in terms of how both perspectives of this place get brought forward. And so we really do want to wish Richard the best of luck. I heard, the rumor I heard was actually that based on the Blue Jays playoff run, Richard realized he needed more time to devote to his baseball pool, which is his fantasy league apparently takes up a lot of time, and that was cutting into it. But on behalf of the BC Conservatives, we really do wish Richard the best of luck moving forward. And I have one other introduction that I will be in trouble, and probably a more important one, frankly, no offense, Richard, but today is my youngest granddaughter's first birthday. So I wish Ellie Marie Janowski a happy first birthday. Hopefully we can figure out how to record this so she can see it when she can actually understand what's going on. But wish her the best of birthdays as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
House Leader of the Third Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my honor to welcome students from Main Island School. These elementary school students and their teachers are my constituents. They're frankly amazing, and they're visiting the legislature this morning, so I hope the House will join me in welcoming them.
Member for Kootenay Rockies.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. When we get a chance to recognize our support staff, it's always a good day. My LA Pega, it's her birthday today. I won't tell you how old she is because I think I'd get in trouble if I did that. But happy birthday, Pega. I hope you have a great day.
Minister of Mining.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'm very pleased to welcome to this House the Nepal Cultural Society of BC, a community organization that people of Nepal region and friends of Nepal in BC. The society established in 1999, Mr. Speaker, with the primary purpose of promoting Nepali culture and identity. So we are joined today, Honourable Speaker, by Raju Patrai, President of the Society, and his family, Madhu Patrai and Alisha Patrai. And we are also joined by Shankar Bhandari and his family, who is a member of the Society, and his family, Tulasa Bhandari, Sam, Yog Bhandari, and Shankar Bhandari. I'll ask the House to please make them feel welcome.
Member for Prince George Mackenzie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And in the gallery today are members of the Construction, Maintenance and Allied Workers Union. And their members build some of the largest projects in this province, like the Site C Dam or highway infrastructure. And we can't build British Columbia without them. So with that, I want to welcome Chris Wasylenczak, President, Jesse Gregory, Sean Sly, Ronette Paul, Mike Jensen, Michelle Benducci, Carlo Scarpelletti, Ron Neller, Andrew Brown, Mark Miller, Jan Morris, Philip White, and Barbara Backmeyer. Will the House please make them feel very welcome?
Minister of Labour.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to the member from Prince George for announcing the presence of the members from Construction, Maintenance and Allied Workers Canada who are in the House with us today. And indeed, as he noted, they have built some of the biggest infrastructure projects in our province, from bridges to dams to Coast Guard vessels to major infrastructure. They are literally everywhere, including in New Westminster, where they're working on the Patella Bridge right now. It is such a pleasure to have them working to help us build the economy that we're building in British Columbia. I won't read their names into the record again, but I do just want to give a special shout out to Ronette Paul, who is a Red Seal carpenter, who is a terrific mentor for young women in particular who are coming up through the trades. And I just want to say, Ronette, I think your mum must be awfully proud of you. Would the House please join me in welcoming them all today to the gallery?
Member for North Island.
Every third Tuesday of November is National Grief and Bereavement Day. It's a day to acknowledge a universal experience and loss and the vital supports that help navigate it. Hospice societies play an integral role in this, as well as the end-of-life support in mental health wellness program. So I'd like to welcome today Pablida Thomas, the Executive Director of Hospice Care Alliance of BC, Donna Flood, who I met when I was in Prince George for Prince George Hospice, Amanda McNeely, Peace Arch Hospice, and Terry Henderson, Victoria Hospice.
Minister of Citizen Services.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As we debate bills and pass legislation here in the House, we rarely think about what happens next. And today I have the great privilege of welcoming the print brokerage of the Department of the King's Printer. Here in the House today we have Carolyn Walker, Karen Garland, Paula Peterson, Paul Corriera, Rowan Schmidt, Jean-Guy Collette, Abebe Tilahoon, and Debbie Daniels. Would everyone make them feel very welcome? Thank you.
Member Courtney Comox.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to introduce Mayor Nicole Minions of the town of Comox. While we don't always see eye to eye on politics, she's a fellow political nerd. She's joining us here today, and it's fantastic the work that Comox is doing, and the council on behalf of everybody in the Comox Valley. Please make her feel very welcome.
Minister of Mining.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, once again. We also have today with us the Hindu Buddhist Foundation of Canada, and we are joined by Professor Mala and Raj Sigdale, a devoted community leader who has tirelessly served the Nepali community in British Columbia since 1999. Through his vision, Mr. Speaker, and dedication, he led the establishment of the Hindu Buddhist Foundation of Canada, creating a spiritual and cultural home for Nepalese across British Columbia. So I'll ask everybody, they're here somewhere in the gallery, but I will ask everybody to please make them, they're there, make them feel welcome.
Minister of Labour.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. One more today. It is indeed a very special day, an important day today, because it is the 5th birthday of Abigail Margaret Sikorsky. And Abby is watching from home today. Abby is my great niece. She is my goddaughter as well as my birthday twin. She is the light of our lives. I am so grateful for her, and would the House please join me in wishing Abby a huge happy 5th birthday.
Member of Burnaby South Metro Town.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I am very excited today to welcome hundreds of Korean community leaders who are here today. If I can get all of you to stand up. Thank you very much. They include Korean Consul Generals who's acting ambassador. Many are here for the first time to the legislator and for the Korean reception at noon. And they all have made significant contribution to richness of our community, and to diversity is what makes our community unique and strong. So please, if I can ask the House to make them feel very welcome today.
Member Courtney Monashi.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I understand there's an old friend up here, I believe above me. I can't see her. Her name's Jan Morris. She's from Chilliwack. I haven't seen her in a number of years, and I hope to run into her after QP. She's here as a strong union rep, and please join me in welcoming her to the gallery.
Member for Richmond Bridgeport.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the official opposition party and as the critic for multiculturalism, as a former multicultural minister, as a former international minister who led trade delegation to visit Korea between 2013 and 2017, we would like to welcome the Korean community and also the Korean Consul General representative here. Last week, the opposition leader and I have a meeting with the Korean Consul General, and we talk about how much the Korean Canadian community has contributed to our province. Welcome, and I look forward to talking to each and every one of you at the first ever Korean Heritage Day at the Hall of Honor. Welcome, thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Introduction of bills. Statements by members.
Member for Richmond Bridgeport.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to acknowledge the important and enduring role that complementary or alternative healthcare practices, including traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, play in supporting the health and well-being of British Columbians. These practices are valued by many families across our province, and they form an essential part of a modern, diverse, and patient-centered healthcare system. BC has been a national leader in the development of TCM. In 1999, our province began the formal regulatory process for TCM, becoming the first jurisdiction in Canada to establish a comprehensive framework for professional standards, education, and public safety. This year marks 25 years of full statutory regulation, the longest and most established TCM regulatory system in Canada. I also want to share something personal. My own grandfather was a renowned TCM practitioner. I grew up listening to my mother telling me the respect my grandfather earned for his knowledge, compassion, and dedication to healing and maintaining the good health of his patients. His legacy has shaped my deep appreciation for this profession, and I'm proud of the incredible work TCM practitioners continue to do today. For many families, especially within multicultural community, TCM is not simply an alternative. It is a trusted and integral part of their health journey. These practitioners strengthen our healthcare system, expand patient choice, and promote preventive wellness for people from all walks of life. The TCM community in our province is launching a petition online or offline, asking public support to say no to the proposed deregulation of traditional Chinese herbal prescription in BC. Today, I extend my heartfelt thanks to the TCM and alternative medicine community for their professionalism, their dedication, and their contribution to the well-being of British Columbians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Cochin Valley.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. So many times I wanted to get up to say something about the misinformation being shared here every day. There is a house decorum, which I respect, and I have witnessed that some do not. As I shared with my relative last week, I choose my battles because I would be exhausted if I stood up for every little thing. Not to mention that it would jeopardize my community as racism rears its ugly head. As the elder said, you can't talk to someone that doesn't use their ears. Truth-telling is a fundamental aspect of reconciliation. As I shared with my colleagues along the way, this is not going to be easy. We need to sit, listen, and feel this, no matter how uncomfortable this may make us feel at the moment. By facing the full truth of understanding and the depth of injustice that occurred on these lands. I can hear people saying, but there was already an apology. Reconciliation is not a single act or an event. It is a lifelong commitment. It means walking together with respect, learning from Indigenous voices, and supporting self-determination and cultural renewal. Small steps like learning local Indigenous place names, supporting Indigenous-led initiatives, and challenging stereotypes moves us forward towards meaningful change. As we reflect, we remember that reconciliation is not about guilt, but about responsibility. It calls on us all to rebuild relationships based on honesty, compassion, and equality. Let this be our promise to keep listening, to keep learning, and to keep walking the path towards justice and healing together. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Member for Kootenay Rockies.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise with immense pride to celebrate a team that embodies community, determination, and teamwork, the Rocky Mountain Rams. Sports aren't just about scores or trophies. They teach young people how to work together, rely on each other, and push through challenges. And if there's one organization that shows the power of true teamwork, it's the Rams. Just a few short years ago, this team struggled. They barely had enough players to field the team. They went years without a win, but they never gave up. The players learned patience and resilience, the coaches never stopped, and the parents kept believing. And slowly, something incredible happened. They became a team. Once that happened, everything changed. This year, the Rams lost only one game. 3 of their 6 games were played in the United States against tough American teams, and they came home with 2 huge wins. That's huge. Teams that once shut them out completely were no match for their grit and determination. A huge thank you goes out to head coach Dan Herrick and every coach who gave their time to these young athletes. You're not just building football players, you're building leaders, confidence, and community pride. It's not just the senior tackle program that's thriving. The Rams football division is booming as well, proving that football in Kootenays is thriving. Both my sons, Dylan and Tyler, have played for the Rams. This program has given them purpose, pride, and friendships that will last a lifetime. So today, to all the players, coaches, parents, and volunteers, thank you for showing us what's possible when a community comes together. You embody the true spirit of the Kootenays, grit, teamwork, and heart. And finally, Mr. Speaker, go Rams.
Member for Burnaby South Metrotown.
Honorable Speaker, few weeks ago, we as members in this chamber did something beautiful. By passing the Korean Heritage Month Act, we didn't just add words to a statute, we opened a door. As a sponsoring member, I'm proud to humbled. I came to BC as a kid stocking shelves in my parents' corner store. I served later as a police officer, lawyer, and today I stand here as an MLA. And that journey is only possible in a province that believes every story belongs. And this act makes that belief visible. Thanks to all the colleagues across all parties, to committee members, to the clerks and staff, and to the elders and Korean community leaders who lent their voices and who have joined us here today. Your resilience, our community's resilience, brought us to this moment. And I'm proud to be Korean, proud to be British Columbian, and proud that October will now stand as an invitation to learn, celebrate, and build together. And this act is more than about one community. It's a signal to every visible minority family that recognition expands the circle. It doesn't ration it. When we honor Korean heritage, we strengthen the shared house we all live in. So let's mark the moment together. I warmly invite all of you downstairs to the Hall of Honor for a celebratory lunch reception. So come meet community leaders, try the food that tells our story, hear the K-pop, and see Taekwondo demonstrations. There is actually a K-pop dance, so please come and take a look. And leave with a calendar reminder for October. To my parents and to every newcomer, child watching, your language, your culture, your dreams, there is a room for all of you here. So, 감사합니다. Thank you, British Columbia, and let's celebrate together. Thank you.
Member Courtney Comox.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You can tell a lot about a community by how it treats people in their final days. In the Comox Valley, we don't measure compassion in budgets or line items. We measure it in the hands held, in quiet rooms, in the sound of laughter and tears shared under one roof. For over 40 years, the Comox Valley Hospice Society has been that constant source of comfort and care. Working tirelessly with donors, volunteers, and government, they helped open the Aiken Community Hospice at Oceanfront Village in 2022. It was more than a ribbon cutting. It was a promise kept. A promise that no one in our community would face their final days without the care, familiarity, and dignity that they deserve. Shirley Wade Linton was the catalyst who started it all. She saw a gap in the system and gathered people together for conversation and for compassion. From that first meeting in 1983 grew the world-class facility we have today, providing 6 hospice beds for residents of Courtney Comox and Mid-Island Pacific Rim. These are places where dignity still matters, where nurses, volunteers, and families create something sacred, the kind of care that can't be rushed, can't be quantified, and should never be compromised. And yet, here we are, with capacity reduced by 3 beds, or 50%, at a time in our province when, by 2036, nearly 25% of British Columbians will be over the age of 65, a benchmark that has already been well exceeded in the Comox Valley. When a hospice bed closes, a family loses a place to say goodbye. When local care is absorbed into distant systems, something vital is lost. Not efficiency, but humanity. Today, I want to recognize the members of the Hospice Care Alliance of British Columbia here in the gallery, quiet, steadfast advocates who remind us that hospice care is not a service to be trimmed. It is a promise we make to one another and deserves stable funding. The Comox Valley Hospice Society has honored that promise for decades, local, transparent, and compassionate. Now it's our turn to keep that promise, because in the Comox Valley, we don't walk away from one another, not at the beginning, and certainly not at the end.
Member for Wandifika-Malahat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I wish to shine a spotlight on an organization whose steadfast dedication has touched the lives of countless individuals and families in my community, the Souk Family Resource Society. For decades, the Souk Family Resource Society has been a cornerstone of support, compassion, and hope for the Souk region. Their commitment to strengthening families and fostering healthy communities is evident in the breadth of their services. From early childhood programs and youth outreach to support for new parents and seniors, this society provides a safe and welcoming environment for all who seek assistance. We know that families are the foundation of our society. When families thrive, communities flourish. The Souk Family Resource Society recognizes this and works tirelessly to ensure that every individual, regardless of age or circumstance, has access to the resources and support they need. Their programs not only address immediate needs, such as food security, housing assistance, and counseling, but also empower individuals through education and skill-building opportunities, creating lasting positive change. During my time in local government, I witnessed firsthand the profound impact of their work. The caring staff, dedicated volunteers go above and beyond, meeting people where they are and walking alongside them on their journey. Whether it's helping a young mother navigate the challenges of parenthood, providing mentorship to youth, or offering a warm meal to a senior in need, Souk Family Resource Society embodies the very best of community spirit. Their work is a testament to the power of compassion, collaboration, and community action. Let us extend our gratitude to the staff, volunteers, and supporters of the Souk Family Resource Society. May their example inspire us all to continue building a more caring and inclusive British Columbia. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Members, before we start the question period, I would like to provide some guidelines regarding private members' bills and amendments. Honourable members, the Chair has been reflecting on private members' time and notes that the standing order changes that took effect in the 43rd Parliament have run the course of nearly a full parliamentary calendar year. Based on Chair's observation to date, it is an opportune time to provide guidance to the House on limitations attached to private members' bills for the benefit of all members. The Chair will first offer guidance on the application on Standing Order 67, which provides, and I quote, "It shall not be lawful for the House to adopt or pass any vote, resolution, address, or bill for the appropriation of any part of the public revenue or any tax or impost to any purpose that has not been first recommended to the House by message of the Lieutenant Governor in the session in which such vote, resolution, address, or bill is proposed," unquote. In the Westminster parliamentary system that we adopted in British Columbia, only the Crown can propose a tax or an increase in tax, or propose the spending of public funds. The provisions of Standing Order 67 stem from constitutional obligations prescribed in the Federal Constitution Act 1867, with application to the provincial legislative assemblies, which are also prescribed in Section 47 of the Provincial Constitution Act. The Chair is aware that members often ask what constitutes a money bill, which would be out of order in the hands of a private member without an accompanying message of the Lieutenant Governor or royal recommendation. To assist the House, the Chair has examined parliamentary customs and usages in Canada and the United Kingdom as it pertains to the royal recommendation and the provision of Standing Order 67. The parliamentary authorities hold that a royal recommendation is required if any provision in a private member's bill would authorize a new and distinct charge to the effectively imposed on public money. A royal recommendation is required for any bill whose implementation would necessarily entail new or increased expenditures from the Consolidated Revenue Fund, other than incidental costs already authorized by an existing appropriation. When deciding whether a private member's bill introduces a new and distinct charge, the Chair will assess the financial impact of each provision to determine whether it introduces a new charge upon the Consolidated Revenue Fund. In making that determination, the Chair will examine each clause to determine whether it specifically authorizes any spending for a distinct purpose or contains language that indicates that public funds are being appropriated. In clear terms, Beauchesne, 6th edition, at paragraph 613 states, I quote, "A bill which does not involve a direct expenditure but merely confers upon the government a power for the exercise of which public money will have to be voted by Parliament is not a money bill, and no royal recommendation is necessary as a condition precedent to its introduction," unquote. At paragraph 600, Beauchesne also states, I quote, "The principle that the sanction of the Crown must be given to every grant of money drawn from the public revenue applies equally to the taxation levied to provide that revenue," unquote. Next, the Chair will offer guidance on the application on Standing Order 76, which provides, and I quote, "Any bill affecting the Constitution must be introduced by a member of the government or with the sanction of the government," unquote. As the Chair noted in a ruling on April 14, 2025, a private member's bill may be ruled out of order on the grounds that it offends Standing Order 76 by touching upon provisions in the Provincial Constitution Act or the Constitution Acts 1867 to 1982, being Canada's Constitution. Private members are bound by these constitutional and procedural limitations on private members' bills, which apply equally to amendments proposed by private members, whether to a government bill or a private member's bill. Members will no doubt be well served by advice from the clerks at the table on the application of these rules. The Chair urges private members to undertake their due diligence in respect to these obligations and to seek procedural advice as early as possible prior to the introduction of the bill or an amendment. The Chair wishes to assure the House that the Chair examines every private member's bill for its procedural admissibility. The Chair has no hesitation to rule on the admissibility of a private member's bill before it proceeds to consideration at second reading, in accordance with the precedents assigned to private members. If any member wishes to seek direction from the Chair or otherwise raise arguments for the Chair's considerations, They are welcome to do so by raising a point of order. Finally, members are reminded that the authority of the chair is limited to interpreting matters of parliamentary procedures and not matters of public policy or law. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Oral questions by members.
Member for Courtenay-Comox.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 2 weeks ago, we warned this government of the unintended consequences of their long-term care cuts. Harrow Park nonprofit residents are now missing baths, eating breakfast alone, and losing basic support. At the Three Links nonprofit, residents are already seeing care reduced, food quality cuts, activities cancelled, bathing schedules disrupted, and the charity says without funding, they'll be forced to close permanently. Operators have not yet heard from this minister, and they're running out of money while seniors suffer. Will the minister reinstate funding today? Yes or no?
Minister of Health.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. Thank you to the member for the question and for the shared concern about caring for seniors and elders in our province. And of course, Mr. Speaker, nothing could be more important than ensuring that seniors and elders have the care that they need at that point in their lives. Mr. Speaker, I know we have canvassed this several times here in the House. This government is deeply committed to building out a sustainable system of care for people at the later years of their lives, and nothing could be more important. Mr. Speaker, what we need is a care system that is sustainable, that is not built on temporary funding measures. And that's why our government has wound down the temporary funding program put in place during extraordinary time of the pandemic. Mr. Speaker, we continue to work with operators. We are working directly with them through the health authorities. We have a team inside the Ministry of Health and at each health authority that is working with each operator and examining the personal or particular circumstances that those operators are facing, Mr. Speaker, so that we can take action. Thank you.
Member supplemental.
Mr. Speaker, this minister committed to getting the payment model in line in the spring. And here we are, after we've warned repeatedly that these cuts would put seniors into hallways. This minister assured us that, quote, not one person is going to be kicked out of their bed or their home tomorrow. For anyone on the opposite side to infer that is absolutely wrong, end quote. But Aiken Hospice, that serves this minister's own riding and mine, is losing 3 beds, half of its capacity, due to these cuts. Beds are now being cut by attrition, and as patients die, new patients aren't being admitted. We expect the 3rd bed to be vacant tomorrow. Will the minister commit today to providing dedicated, separate funding for hospice care? Yes or no?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand by my words that this government is dedicated to establishing that system of funding for long-term care operations and continuing to support the incredibly valuable work of hospice and palliative care organizations throughout this province. But Mr. Speaker, again, the member is mistaken if he wants to infer that people are being kicked out of their beds, because they are not. And I know that this is a difficult situation in Comox right now, where a decision was taken to temporarily pause intakes for 3 hospice beds out of 6 in this facility. Mr. Speaker, in working with the operator, these are the measures that the health authority and the operator have come to an agreement over while we continue to work with them to support that. Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful that we have representatives here in the House today from the BC Hospice and Palliative Care Association because of the incredible work that they do in communities, whether it's community-based hospice or assisting people at home through health authority supports, supporting people in hospitals, Mr. Speaker. The work that these people do to provide the dignified care, to provide the best care possible near the end of life is absolutely incredible, and I stand up for them every single day.
Member from North Island.
So the seniors waiting aren't maybe getting kicked out of care, but they can't get in. There's up to a 4-year wait to access long-term care bed from my community in Campbell River. On top of that, our hospital is running at 130% capacity, and up to 1/5 of the beds are seniors waiting for long-term care. The government has repeatedly promised more long-term care beds. A new care home was finally promised by this premier when he came to my riding before the last election. But they haven't even broken grounds yet. So my question to the premier, is he going to follow through with his promise to Campbell River, or was this just another photo op?
Minister?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. This government continues to take action to strengthen long-term care and assisted living in the province by taking multiple tactics here, Mr. Speaker, including growing the workforce that's required to support long-term care operations. Mr. Speaker, adding 2,400 new healthcare assistant training seats in an earn and learn program, working out in remote communities as well as larger centres, Mr. Speaker, continuing to build and renovate more long-term care beds with 36 projects underway and ongoing, Mr. Speaker. We've added 1,300 new and renovated beds, Mr. Speaker. There are 4,300 coming along and underway. But, Mr. Speaker, it's not enough to create new long-term care facilities. We must support seniors to live at home. We know that that's what seniors want to do. So by increasing home supports for seniors, enabling people to stay longer,
let's listen to the minister.
it is building out the system of care for seniors at the time they most need it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member has supplemental.
This is the reality on the ground in Campbell River. One of our best care homes received an email from Island Health saying, quote, "We are now in a time of fiscal constraint as mandated by the Ministry of Health, and I have been given explicit instructions to reduce the number of temp beds across the island." Yeah.
Sounds like a con.
Here we have the clearest signal yet that this government's own fiscal mess is resulting in cuts in frontline services. Why is Island Health being told to, quote, "tighten our belts," while our seniors are languishing in desperately needed hospital beds and stretchers in the hallways?
Minister of Health.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. You know, there's no question that more is needed in building out long-term care and supporting
Members,
seniors.
let the minister finish, please. Members, member for Richmond Centre. Please. Minister will continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Building beds is just one part of this work. Again, I speak of the work that must be done in supporting the people who work and deliver care in long-term care beds, creating these healthcare assistant programs, healthcare access programs that enable people to come into the system, building out the system of long-term care, Mr. Speaker, building through the better at home, keeping seniors safer at home, Mr. Speaker, so that they can stay there, which is where they want to do. Mr. Speaker, the decision has been taken to wind down the temporary COVID-era pandemic measures in place because we need a long-term system of care that is predictable and stable. Mr. Speaker, this government is focused on that work. The work is happening inside the Ministry of Health, and we will continue it. Thank you.
Leader of the third party.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Along the route of the Prince Rupert gas transmission line that incidentally doesn't go to Prince Rupert and doesn't yet have an approved terminus, there are compressor stations that will roar as loud as jet engines to push methane from fracking sites in the northeast to silysms in the northwest. The significant health impacts of living next to one of these compressor stations is a risk, yet the 11-year-old environmental assessment for PRGT refused to consider those impacts. The proponent said there weren't enough, quote, human receptors in the Kispiox Valley to justify a health impact study. Mr. Speaker, these human receptors, if it's not obvious, are people. They're people living their lives in Hazelton, Kitimat, and Squamish, and they don't deserve to be sacrificed for the benefit of, as one Gittineau elder told me, people who have never felt the land breathe. My question is for the Minister of Environment and Parks. There are, by my count, about 95 human receptors on the floor of this chamber. If a company was flaring methane in the harbor outside our window, would we be considered significant enough for a health impact study?
Minister of Energy and Climate Solutions.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The member will know that the PRGT pipeline proposal went through the environmental assessment process. In the last year, it has acknowledged that the proposal and the project has received a substantial start and is going forward. He will know the extensive work by the Environmental Assessment Office in addressing just those issues, and that every environmental assessment certificate in BC comes with conditions, Honourable Speaker. With respect to the PRGT proposal, which of course is led by the Nisga'a First Nation, that project has received environmental assessment approvals. It will be required to meet all the conditions of those approvals, and the project is continuing now. So I think that when we have extensive process in our province for approvals of projects that involve significant studies and work, decisions are made. In this case, were made to allow the project to proceed. But that doesn't mean the project can proceed inconsistent with the conditions applied, and I'm sure that will be the case in the case of the PRGT pipeline proposal.
Member supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would submit that if we're sacrificing human receptors, what good is a strong economy if there aren't any human receptors alive to enjoy it? Residents of Kitimat and soon Squamish and the Nass Valley are regularly exposed to methane gas export byproducts like airborne benzene, formaldehyde, and other chemicals linked to asthma, heart disease, birth defects, and Alzheimer's. Meanwhile, in Dawson Creek, residential water wells have run dry. Water is scarce thanks to a historic drought caused by climate change, but the limited available water is being sucked up by fracking companies who buy it at a huge discount. Now Dawson Creek is proposing another pipeline, not for fossil fuels, but for water. My question is for the Minister of Water, Land and Resource Stewardship. Will the government make the fracking companies pay for the water pipeline or pay full freight for the water they use? Or will they make Dawson Creek's human receptors foot the bill?
Minister of Energy.
Well, with great respect to the important issues raised by the member, he will know that in 2018 the government did an extensive review of hydraulic fracturing. Significant recommendations were made, and those recommendations have applied. He will know, refers to methane emissions, that British Columbia is leading Canada, leading North America in reducing those emissions. A 51% reduction since 2015, which reflects the policies, the Clean BC policies of the government, and the really exceptional work done in that case by industry to see that that's put in place, such that we have made real progress on those questions. All of these issues are the application of laws are dealt with and we insist are followed all the time. And that will continue to happen as we both see the opportunities in natural gas in BC and also reduce emissions. These are issues that are also subject to a review done of Clean BC programs that will be released soon, that's done under the auspices of the member's party and our own, to ensure that we're continuing to address these issues.
House Leader of the Fourth Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, if I were the government, here's exactly how I would get rid of 2/3 of all mental health professionals overnight. The NDP's very own Health Professions and Occupations Act. This government is giving itself new powers to pry into the confidential client files of people in therapy. New rules scheduled to take effect in April under this law will allow the government to punish any psychologist who doesn't comply with penalties, harsh penalties, of 2-year prison sentences and $500,000 fines. So the result? Psychologists are leaving. Many of them have contacted my office directly. According to a recent survey, 68% of psychologists are planning to end their practice in BC. 68%. That's over 2/3 of all psychologists in this
Question,
province.
member.
Gone. My question to the minister is this: will she repeal this intrusive law and prevent 68% of our psychologists from leaving British Columbia?
Minister of Health.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. It's incredibly unfortunate to see the kind of misinformation that is being spread about the Act. And its vital role in protecting the public and protecting the integrity of healthcare professionals, Mr. Speaker. The purpose of the Health Professions and Occupations Act is to better protect the public, to provide a better framework, and a more accountable and transparent system. Mr. Speaker, this legislation is about ensuring that patients are kept safe from harm and discrimination. That's always been the role of regulatory colleges, Mr. Speaker, and that is not changing. To be clear, the legal mandate of colleges is not changing at all. The HPOA strengthens this. We are going to continue. The regulations come into force this spring. The Act comes into force this spring. The Superintendent's Office is being set up right now. The regulatory colleges are doing the preparatory work. I have heard from professionals across the province who are thankful that this Act is coming into place. We have heard from professions who want to be regulated under this Act because they understand just how important it is to protect themselves as well as the public. Thank you.
Member has supplemental.
Yes, sounds like the minister should maybe go and review the 645 some clauses in this law so she can refamiliarize herself with it. But according to the Canadian Mental Health Association, 1 million British Columbians will experience a mental illness this year. It's serious. These Orwellian powers in the HPOA threaten to rob over 2/3 of those people of their mental health professionals. This includes some of the most vulnerable among us, victims of abuse, trauma survivors, and first responders. Psychologists are begging this government not to barrel ahead with the HPOA rules. Mr. Speaker, will the minister at the very least, suspend these new rules and consult with psychologists to prevent the crisis her very own legislation is causing?
Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The simple answer is no. No, this government won't do that. This government is moving ahead with the Health Professions and Occupations Act as a way to strengthen the framework, include more transparency and accountability to protect the interests of the public, to protect the integrity of the healthcare professionals themselves. Now, Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, I'm not surprised that these members opposite are opposed to the Act because they've aligned themselves with BC Rising and people who spread dangerous misinformation. Mr. Speaker, people like Dr. Charles Hoff, who tells people that the COVID vaccine is lethal and that they should buy ivermectin from an animal feed store. People like Dr. Stephen Malthouse, who told people that the COVID vaccine turns you into a magnet. Mr. Speaker, clearly this is incredibly alarming. Mr. Speaker, we are watching the consequences of medical misinformation play out right now, with Canada losing its measles elimination status. We should be embarrassed by that, Mr. Speaker, because it didn't need to happen. Mr. Speaker,
thank you.
We are going to continue to stand up for evidence-based decisions, for evidence-based policy, for public universal health care, because, Mr. Speaker, medical misinformation kills.
Member for Prince George, North Caribou.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday I asked the Environment Minister twice
when did she first learn about the Cowichan toxic waste pile? The minister didn't answer my question, but did say, quote, "We issued a pollution prevention order on October 2nd, unquote. Mr. Speaker, this was 2 years after a risk assessment was carried out. Either the minister knew about this river-killing mess and didn't act, or her staff didn't tell her. Which is it? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister of Environment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm not really sure why the member is asking this question, because he is not.
Members, Minister will continue. That's it? Okay. Members? Member has supplemental? Minister will continue.
Anyways, I was saying I would welcome my new critic to come and meet with me and talk through this. I understand we have a meeting this afternoon scheduled. Yesterday, we did talk about what we have done, and I'd be more than happy to go through this with him and provide him the information that he's requesting. Thank you.
Member for Surrey Serpentine River.
Mr. Speaker, imagine being the mother of 5 kids, including a medically fragile newborn living in a roach-infested BC housing unit, begging for help from this government. That's what Alicia Williams is experiencing right now. Even her doctor says the unit is unsafe and unsanitary. Can the minister please tell us how many cockroaches she thinks are acceptable in a BC housing unit?
Minister of Housing. Members, let the minister start, please. Wait for your comments afterwards. Please, Minister.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker, and thanks to the member opposite for the question. It is completely unacceptable what's happened in this building, and troubling to hear about any issues like this. We take tenant concerns like this one seriously and are committed to ensuring that they're addressed in a timely and appropriate manner. And inspection with a licensed pest control inspector is being scheduled, and an additional treatment will happen if required. Neighboring units are being inspected. Technicians will be brought in if needed. The tenants at McLean Park can contact the on-site building manager, the Lower Mainland directly managed office, as well as the tenant support line, and we'll continue to respond and support this family alongside the work we are committed to in building good, dignified, affordable housing and supportive housing in every community across this province.
Member for West Kelowna Peachland.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As the president of the BC Nurses Union, Adrian Greer, says, nurses did not go into the profession to be security guards, but that's exactly what's happening. She's deeply concerned that using nurses for protection and expecting them to act like peace officers is the only strategy that this government is relying on. Will the minister commit to immediately deploying fully trained peace officers who have the authority to use force if necessary to protect patients and staff in BC hospitals?
Hear, hear. Minister of Health.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. Thank you to the member for raising the incredibly important subject of safety in the workplace, safety for all healthcare workers. It is unacceptable to see violence against healthcare workers in any setting, which is why we are so dedicated to the work that we have underway with the BC Nurses Union, with health authorities, to do everything we can to reduce and eliminate that violence. Mr. Speaker, the work that our relational security officers do in hospital settings makes a difference. With the training that they have, specific training around de-escalating and reducing aggressive situations. They are making a real difference, and we are seeing Mr. Speaker, the work hours and incidents of violence going down in hospital settings where these relational security officers work. I want to assure the member, Mr. Speaker, that these relational security officers have the highest standards of training, the highest, most advanced security training licenses for security officers in all of BC. We continue to work with the BC Nurses Union to listen to them, to strengthen the violence prevention frameworks in place at health authorities, to examine other ways of reducing violence in the workplace, and we are going to continue to do that work. Thank you.
Member for Prince George Mackenzie.
Well, the BC Nurses Union has been clear that nurses do not feel safe in our hospitals. That's a fact. This government also knows that nursing ratios in BC are abysmal. At Jubilee Lodge in Prince George, acute care needs are higher than almost any other long-term care home, yet staffing ratios are shockingly as high as 1 nurse to 66 patients. Nurses are overwhelmed, many leave crying, sick calls are constant, and those who do come to work are burning out under the heavy workload, at times ending up hurt. Psychological claims are also on the rise. To the Minister of Labour, why isn't WorkSafe properly auditing nursing safety in our health authorities?
Minister of Labour.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to the member for a very, very important question. We know that there is nothing more important than ensuring that healthcare workers who work across our healthcare system come to work and can be safe and work in a dignified environment. That's why we work with health authorities, with WorkSafe, to ensure that our occupational health and safety structures and system across British Columbia are in effect. We know that WorkSafe has a high-risk strategy for healthcare, recognizing that there are particular concerns and particular issues in healthcare that need to be addressed. That work continues. I'm grateful for the partnership of all of the health authorities, the health employers, and the bargaining associations in ensuring that we continue to move forward to make sure our healthcare system is the safest it possibly can be.
Member for Bulkley Valley Stikine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know what keeps Adrian Greer up at night? Rural nurses working alone with no security, waiting up to an hour for RCMP to respond. What does the minister say to rural nurses who are petrified they won't make it home to their loved ones because this government refuses to keep them safe?
Minister of Health.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. Thank you to the member for the question. Preventing violence in the workplace, no matter a small hospital, a rural hospital, a larger centre, is incredibly important. It's important to retaining nurses, Mr. Speaker. It's important to recruiting more nurses. It's important for every single one of the healthcare professionals that we rely on. And that is why we have the agreement with the BC Nurses Union around minimum nurse-to-patient ratios, because we know We know, Mr. Speaker, that meeting these ratios is essential to workplace conditions, to the safety of patients and nurses alike, Mr. Speaker. And in those smaller communities where I have spoken directly to nurses where minimum nurse-to-patient ratios are already being met, we can see and feel and hear the difference that it's making. That's why we're committed to minimum nurse-to-patient ratios. That's why we're committed to doing everything we can to prevent violence in workplaces, whether they're small or large, Mr. Speaker, and that's why we're going to continue this work and doing it in partnership with the Nurses Union and the workforce across the province. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Skeena.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm getting so sick and tired of every time we ask a question, we hear the same thing. There's nothing more important, and yet we don't see any action on any of these things that get brought up. We hear from every single minister. Cuts to healthcare, hallway healthcare, People don't feel safe. Nobody feels safe in this province, and there's nothing being done about it. 3 weeks ago, a 17-year-old boy died in the Kitimat Hospital. His name was Vincent, and his death was entirely preventable. All he needed was a CT scan. He'd suffered from excruciating stomach pain for years. 22 days ago, he returned to the ER, and after 5 hours of sitting there losing color and difficulty breathing, a CT scan in Terrace was finally arranged. After waiting in the ER for almost 6 hours, he died as he was finally about to be transferred. And again, this was entirely preventable. The community fundraised for a CT scanner in 2023 to avoid this very outcome. 3 months ago, government ministers came to Kitimat to take credit for this community-funded project, and yet it is still not operational. I informed the minister and her chief of staff about this 2 weeks ago, and I told them that I expected an answer immediately. I have yet to receive a response.
Question, member.
A mother has lost her son, and nothing can change that. But this government can commit today to reviewing this tragedy, how this diagnosis was missed, and to activate that CT scanner immediately. Because I'm wondering at this point how many more people have to die in Kitimat before this government makes sure that that CT scanner is up and running.
Minister of Health.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. First of all, the loss of any child is an incredibly tragic circumstance, and I think the hearts of everyone in this House go out to this family. I know the member understands that I cannot speak about individual cases. I do appreciate that she brought it to my attention, and I appreciate being able to talk with her when I was recently up in Kitimat and Terrace with her. Mr. Speaker, I urge the family, any family in a situation like this with concerns, to please go forward to the Patient Care Quality Office and the Health Authority where they reside, because it's incredibly important that matters like this are looked into. Mr. Speaker, on the subject of the CT scanner in Kitimat, renovations are underway inside the hospital, and it is expected that the CT scanner will be up and running in spring 2026. Mr. Speaker, this will make a big difference for people living in Kitimat, in the region, to be able to access this kind of diagnostic capacity. It is part of the reason why our government is committed to building that out. And Mr. Speaker, I'd be grateful to follow up with the member individually again to talk about this matter, but I know she understands I cannot speak publicly about an individual case. Thank you.
The bell ends the question period. Honourable members, I have the honour to table a report from the Ombudsperson Annual Report 2024-25. Madam Clerk.
Orders of the day.
Government House Leader.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. In this chamber, I call continued second reading debate on Bill 25. In the Douglas Forum, Section A, I call continued committee stage debate on Bill 31.
Committee chairs.